Hi, friends. It's Monday. I know we're not going to do it. So, in terms of doing the whole Monday thing, that's like our little joke at this point. Well, look, we have a week left. Today, at this point, had Corona not been a thing, you would have sat for your test. It would be done. But that's not the case, obviously. So we have one more week, and this week is not about content. It is about practicing for our test. And so with that in mind, I want you to remember as we go through this, a lot of this is going to be centered on you. I'm going to spend a couple minutes up here on the top going through some tips, some things to think about. But while I'm doing that, I want you in your space to prepare because I'm going to be giving you a full test today. So make some choices about what it is that you're going to be doing. Hopefully you had an opportunity to play around with the exam demo over the weekend or walking into this. You have three options. You can upload a picture if you choose to write things out. You can go ahead and type it up. You can cut and paste. So what I need you to do while I'm talking is pay a little attention to what's happening on the screen and more attention to kind of scurrying about, opening up a Google document or a Word document or whatever it is that you're going to do. Get your paper, get your pen, get cozy. It'll take me about 7 minutes to get us situated here at the top, and then you'll know it's time to go, right? So you know who I am. It is your friend, Miss Hitch from TJ, bringing this to you. So we are going to be, like we said, looking at Monday and Wednesday, having two opportunities to completely work in a space in which you are setting up for your test. And where we're doing two mock-ups. They're not actual tests. This is not the test, obviously. We are preparing. We are having some deep thoughts about what our testing space will look like. We're practicing the process of uploading, so on and so forth. And so this is here just to kind of help get you prepped, right? So note here that the questions that we are going to be doing today and on Wednesday are designed to be similar in structure and format to what you'll see on this year's AP US Government and Politics exam, but they are not intended to be representative of the content that's assessed. So you might see some stuff here that might dip into other units that we have explicitly told you will not be on the test, that is 4 and 5. So yes, while you might see some stuff here and go, oh my gosh, I haven't studied 4 and 5. Remember, on the test, you have to know Constitution and federalism, the different policy-making institutions, and our civil rights and liberties, including, and that really gets us through all of our essential documents and all of our Supreme Court cases, with the exception of Baker v. Carr and Shaw v. Reno and Citizens United. But if you know them, they are fair game. Like you can stretch out inside the content. You can throw those things on, even though the test might not specifically address them. So I just want to make sure that we're all hearing that before we get moving, in case you panic, right? So think about the space where you are. Kind of look around and think about what it's going to be like if we were taking a test. Remember that when you are normally sitting for an AP exam, you're in a little protected cocoon, a little bubble that the school has manufactured for you to give you the best opportunities for you to do well. That little protected cocoon, generally speaking, has minimal resources, right? You don't have access to notes, you don't have access to your phone, you don't have access to the computer, you have really just your pen, your paper, your pencil, and the packet that comes from College Board, maybe some food under your chair, but it's well lit, the temperature is regulated, there's no distractions, everyone is there to be quiet, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we're obviously not doing that this year. So you're going to want to adapt to the situation. So think about, where are you sitting to take a test? Now, I immediately think of my friends right now who are lying in their beds with their covers pulled over, who are like, I don't really want to do this, and I'm just going to type it while I'm lying in bed. Friends, you are going to fall asleep. All right. Don't sit on your bed, don't lie on your bed, not even on your belly, not anything. Like, get up, Move to a place in your house where there is a chair that requires you to sit upright with both feet on the floor, right? In an area where there's some flat surface, right? Just like you would be in your school. One of the things that we know when we're talking about test taking is that we want to replicate, you want to like create that little cocoon so you are as successful as possible. And I've even told kids in the past, like, hey, it sounds silly, but dress for the grade you want. Show up, be showered, put on a nice outfit, make sure you're comfortable. You know, you don't have to be in your prom dress or anything like that, but make sure that, you know, it's well lit and it's a comfortable temperature and the minimization of noise and distraction is gone. So that means if you have your phone, you might want to take your phone and put it in airplane or something like that so that no one is texting you during it, so that it doesn't chime or there's no noises or anything like that. Those are all critically important ways to be able to obstruct any distraction that you might have. Talk to your mom and dad and your whomever else is like in that house with you, wherever it is that you're taking the test, and you need to have an expectation that during that 50-minute window, it has to be quiet, that anybody who's walking around or the dogs barking or, you know, there's a kid in the background. I know that sometimes we're in shared spaces, so do your best to try to come up with a compromise for a quiet, protected space. Because remember, you're testing for college credit in 50 minutes. Maybe ask them, can you go for a walk? Can you play a video game or whatever it might be? If you have food or drink, what you're going to want to do with that is just like, you know, in your resource center or your library at your school, they're always telling you don't have anything liquid, because what happens if something spills while you're taking the test, it's going to completely wipe things out. So that's a testing your regularity. Take that stuff, food and drink, put it on the floor, right? Have your study materials with you, whatever it is that you're using that you have thrown together that's there to help you. You know, have that, maybe make it a couple pages or so. But remember, textbooks and longer packets of paper, they're going to be super distracting. You have 50 minutes. It's engineered so that you are going to have a hard time getting to everything, especially if you're like digging through stuff, you know, digging through your textbook, so on and so forth. But whatever it is that you need to have, remember, you're allowed to have materials. Just pro tip, make sure that it is something like 10 pages or less, that it's easy to read, that it's a nice annotation of things, and to be able to minimize the likelihood that you get caught or you're accused or whatever, your scores get invalidated. You don't want it to be something that anybody else has access to, because that is one of the things that might trip you up. You might want to log into, so, you know, put this aside, right? Make sure you have your pens and pencils, whatever it is, because note that you can't, well, you know, if you're taking notes or you're outlining on paper, you can do that. Make sure you have multiple backups of all of the things that you need. And yes, I would recommend, particularly if you're writing out on paper, that you do your best to write in pen, because you have to take a picture and upload it. And if you're using a pencil and you're like a soft writer, it's going to be really hard for the camera to see. And there's a whole bunch of other things about that, taking a picture and uploading. Another thing that you might want to consider is to log into the test space a little bit early and ensure that you're there so that when things go live at 4 o'clock, you're ready to go. How early? I would be there 15 minutes ahead of time. You want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is good, that nothing is going to get caught up. If you're getting on at 4 o'clock, like, you're not gonna, like, you have to be in the room ready to go at 4 o'clock. And I mean, my understanding is because you were not able to get it, I don't know that they'll be able to give you more time, but I'm sure that my friends at College Board will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And the final thing is, breathe deeply, okay? Like, you've got 2 questions, 25 minutes for an argumentation, 15 minutes for the concept application. We've been working really hard at practicing these things. Try to get those times down. But remember, if you spend time trying to make sure that you are doing the best you can and you don't finish, you know, your final whatever task verb on the concept application, don't get upset about it. You can still earn a 5 and not have every single point on the page. So just kind of do the best you can. When that time limit comes up, just stop. Don't fuss with it, right? Don't remember, it's not perfect writing. It is not supposed to be perfect writing. It is a timed assessment. And timed assessments are going to have, you know, not the greatest grammar, maybe a couple misspelling errors, some minor factual errors. You've seen me have minor factual errors. You've seen me try to write these FRQs myself. And I'm telling you, it's stressful for me. I understand it'll be stressful for you. So don't try to make it picture perfect. Just the enemy of good is perfect. So just calm yourself down and do your best. Do mind your time. You might want to like set an alarm, right? Maybe 5 minutes early so that you've got some wiggle room to help keep you, but you will have a clock on the screen you're going to see in the mock-up today. And if you go into the demo, you see it there too. It's going to be keeping track. But other than that, you don't need, you don't need anything else. Remember, submit your time when it elapses, submit your work when it elapses. You can still earn a 5 with less than complete work, but if you fail to submit, you cannot retest, period. Do minimize distractions. Do not talk to anyone, including me. Please do not tweet at me on May 11th and be like, yo, Ms. Hitch, I'm so glad we did whatever because it was on the test. Do not reference the test in any way, online or in person. I will figure out what the test questions are. Trust me, all the teachers will know. They will release the questions in a few short days. I don't want to know about it. It's a secret. Shh, mum is the word. Why? Because if you talk about it, even if you reference, if you come up with like the edgiest meme and you're like, oh my God, this is so funny, everyone's going to hear about it. Remember, if it's on social media, if it's on the internet, College Board will find it and they will invalidate your test scores. So just don't do it. All right. I can wait to find out what the test question is. You want to talk to me after the test questions are live? Great. We can talk after the test questions are live, right? Don't share your notes with anybody. Don't Google answers or cut and paste. Don't spend time digging in your textbook. All right. Okay. Here is my last point. We are getting ready. So like get situated in your chair because the next slide is the question. If you are receiving accommodations, set a timer on your phone for whatever your accommodations provide you. Is it time and a half, so on and so forth? Figure out what that is right now. Put that in for question 1. You're going to have to do the same thing for question 2. You can, just like you have in the past, pause the video. And so what I want you to do so that you can replicate accommodations is when you hear me come back on and say, okay, 25 minutes are up, and we're going to move on to the next question, you are going to pause that video and you are going to let this timer continue to roll to be able to keep time. All right. So that is how we are going to provide accommodations. You will get accommodations on the test. This is the best I can do in this very wonky virtual space. All right. So when we get going here in a second, the one thing that I'm going to tell you is that my microphone is going to be off and my image is going to go away because where you see me hanging out, woohoo, is where the timer is. So I'm going to flip the slide and I'm going to tell you begin question 1. And then you will see me go dark. You will see me go quiet. The only thing that will move will be the timer. Nothing is broken. Nothing is weird. This is like the worst video you're ever going to watch because you're not going to watch it. You're going to read the question and then you are going to write a response. The final thing that I will tell you is before I change this, if you want to have access to the question, it is linked below in the AP, in the college, like in the links, right? In the same place that all the other resources are. Today we are in module 29. So you can go in there, you can see both questions. If you need to go have that question in front of you, pause the video now and pick up because I am going to change the slide and begin question 1. Are you ready? You got this. Big deep breath. Are you ready? And remember, you're more than a test. So it's going to be good. It's going to be great. You're a fantastic person. I'm proud of you. All right. Question 1 in 3, 2, 1. You may begin. Oops, I'm sorry. I'll start you over again. At this point, you should be done writing and you have 5 minutes to try to upload. All right, so as you guys can tell, I'm having some problems with my slideshow today. At this point, you've got about a minute left to center yourself and prepare for the second question. All right, I'm going to progress you on to the next slide. So prepare yourself, get a new Google Doc open, get a new sheet of paper, and you have 15 minutes to read the prompt and 5 minutes to upload. I will break in after 15 minutes elapses. You now should be turning the corner into preparing to upload your question theoretically. So would be a good time for you to draw a line in terms of where you are. Under the testing situation, you would have 5 more minutes to submit, period. And I'm back. Excellent job. So I've been on Twitter looking at student responses from last week, giving some feedback, but I've noticed that my Twitter stream has blown up. As you guys say, I have quite a few examples to bring to you tomorrow. Let me make sure that I have my video back on here really quickly. It'll be nice to make it feel like it's personal again. So, hi, friends. All right. So I will bring some of those with me tomorrow. You guys, before I start talking about uploading, I have a special treat for you, and I'm very pumped. My friend, Dr. Seema Meinhold, will be joining us. He is the chief reader. This is his final year as the chief reader, and he is going to come and join us tomorrow during AP Live, and he's going to help me talk you through these questions, talk a little bit about how they were presented last year in the 2019, because they are adaptations of the 2019 questions. So that's a great, I mean, like, if you ever wanted to be able to get inside the head of somebody whose job it is to come up with the entire like breakdown of everyone's score, right? Like, he is the person in charge of figuring out what your score is. You are going to want to be here tomorrow when he goes through this. It's not just a treat for you as a student to be able to hear how the person in charge of your final score this year will kind of address these issues, but it's also, I just pulled something off my desk. It's also a special treat for the teachers too. So that is tomorrow at 3 back here to help you kind of get into the mindset. So I'm not going to be responding to students tonight in terms of how you've done on these questions. I will do that tomorrow with Dr. Meinhold on air. So just know I'll be harvesting questions. Now, one of the things that would be a very worthwhile use of your time is to go over to the demo site. You know, you should, number one, I'm going to say this. The only way that your teacher, or that if you wanted it to be graded on air, that can happen is by sharing your practice response with your teacher and or myself on Twitter. That's the only way, because anything that you put onto the demo goes, I mean, it's like it goes into the void, right? It's simply there to help you practice uploading. I've been on the site, a lot of teachers have been on the site. I've told all of my personal students to go on. So when you get on the site that is on the demo, you can go ahead and put in your personal information. You should know that you don't even have to, I mean, like, you can put in like Ms. Hitch, or you can put in whatever you want, right? It doesn't really matter. So you just get in, you put practice into the website, you get in, you give a little bit of like information about who you are, because you'll have to be doing that during the AP exam. So it's replicating that environment. And then it's going to take you into a room, quote unquote, where you sit there for 3 minutes, and it's going to give you instructions on how best to operate within this space. Then after that 3 minutes has elapsed, it'll open up the first test question, which it looks like a test question, except in the space where the question would reside is just instructions on how to upload. And you're there for 10 minutes, whether you upload right away or you don't. So just know that, like yesterday, I actually took passages from Letter from Birmingham Jail. I threw them in there, I hit upload, and then I switched my browser and I did something else, because that 10-minute timer has to run out. Then it's going to open up the second door to the next question, and I did the same thing. So you know you will have successfully done this, and actually it'll tell you at the end here, you'll get a little message. So here is your option 1 for copy and paste, right? You can take something out of a Google Doc, out of a Windows document, it doesn't matter. But take that response, don't include images, save your work often, type your AP ID at the top of the response, and then you're going to want to copy and paste, right? Hit Control C, go over to the little window, hit Control V, click submit, right? If you're looking at exam day setup with the side-by-side windows, know that window 1, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge, in which the exam question will appear after you click on your e-ticket, you will have the display that it shows the test question. It will have the timer. You can use cut and paste. So that's like a best practices. You see the side by side there in the image so that you can kind of, instead of having to like go back and forth between windows, you can just have them both open at the same time and you can just look over, right? It just cuts down. So that's what the best practice is they're recommending that you do side by side windows when you're going through that. The second option you have is to attach a document and then click submit. So this is for best use for laptop or desktop. Use Google Docs, Microsoft Word, Notes, or similar application, no images. Save your work often. Save your work with one of the accepted filed formats. That's .doc, .docx, a PDF, text, or ODT. And then you type your AP and ID initials at the top of the response. You're going to wait for the timer, get to 5 minutes remaining, attach your response, and click submit. If you have 2 questions, you must create, save, and attach. We do have 2 questions, so you're going to do it for 2 separate documents. Don't turn it in on the same thing. It's 2 separate documents. So exam day setup, same thing as we had with cut and paste. You're going to open up one browser, have it be half of the screen, and have that be your Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge, in which the exam question is appeared, where you see the test question, the timer, etc. And on the other side is going to be your Google Doc, your whatever it is that you're typing into. Okay. Last option is handwritten, right? So you can attach a photo of a handwritten response and then click submit. So write your AP, you're going to physically write on your handwritten, right? Your AP ID, your initials, and the page number at the top of each response. You're going to write your response clearly, right? Clearly with dark pen. I recommend pen so that it can see. And they say you can use pencil. You're going to wait until you have 5 minutes remaining, and then you're going to take a picture of your thing with your phone like this. Actually, let me get out of Twitter. You can see what I've been up to, right? So you can see you're going to take a picture like this. Don't go like this. You're going to take it like this. 1 page per photo. I would recommend that when you're trying to take that picture, that you zoom in so that you can kind of see, I don't know if I can do this effectively, but one of the things that I've noticed is that you want to make sure that you can see kind of the edges a little bit of the paper, right? So that we know where the end is. Some of you have really zoomed in a lot, or you've been really far away. And one of the things that I can tell you as someone who's received handwritten stuff on Twitter from you guys, that lighting matters. There's a lot of times where if you're too far away, it's really, really hard for me to be able to read what you've written because there's too much space. There's too much like of whatever the background is, whether it's a table, etc. Or you're like holding at a weird angle. So it looks like this, and it's really difficult for me to read what's at the top. Or the lighting is off because you don't have like consistent lighting. And so the farther it gets to the top, it's like really dark. So you really want to make sure that you frame it really nicely. 1 page per photo. If your response is longer than 1 page, you'll need to attach multiple photos. You guys should be fine. Make sure you attach all of your pages. Acceptable file formats are .png, .jpeg, .jpeg. Smartphone or tablet displays. So they're saying the best setup here is using a smartphone or a tablet. And you can display your test question and then displays your timer, and then you can use photos to take written work. So if you don't have a laptop, you can still take your test on your smartphone. This is the response. This is the option that you're going to be using with your smartphone. You'll be able to see the test, all that nonsense on there. Okay, lovely. Submit your response. It's a 2-step process. Attach or paste your response, and then you're going to click submit. And if you do not click submit before the timer runs out, your response will not count. I cannot emphasize it enough. Once you click submit, your response may continue to transfer depending on your bandwidth, so don't bounce out. Make sure that you stay there because there is a confirmed page that you need to get to. So just let the little wheel spin, right? This is fine. You'll be able to move on to the next question, even if your first question continues to transfer, so long as you click submit before the time ran out. If your response continues to transfer after the exam ends, wait for an on-screen message confirming that your exam is complete. Make sure your submissions have fully loaded before you close your browser or turn off or restart your computer. You want to see, there is a little message that you're going to see, and it is going to make you happy. If you do not see your AP exam is complete, which if you practice today using the demo, you will get to that page. It will say your AP exam is complete. Then you should go to cb.org/request makeup to explain the situation and request an e-ticket for the June makeup date. All right, so this is where I want you guys to go, is to practice this, to replicate it. Remember, if you want me to review, then give it to me on Twitter and I can go over it with Dr. Meinhold tomorrow. Please, I'm going to say one more time, please, please do not talk to me on May 11th about any aspect of the test. Just don't do it. If you want to be like, hi, great. If you want to say, you know, like, what's the weather like at Nova? Great. But do not talk to me about anything on the test on May 11th. I will not answer you. And College Board, they are creeping around and they're looking high and low. So they might take your score away. Don't do it, right? Can't get a second chance assessment. So here are a bunch of links that are here for you to help you with all of this information. If you have any questions, go here. I know today we ran way over. It's kind of the nature of the beast. Tomorrow we'll be back to the 45-minute program. And again, we will be here with Dr. Meinhold out of UNCW, who is our chief reader, who is here to help us figure out how we did and get an idea. And until then, I am done with you for today. I release you into the wild. I wish you the very best of luck. Do something good for you today, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Bye, friends.